Also, schönen guten Abend zusammen. Mein Name ist Thomas Müller-Böhr. Ich bin Referent für Dialog und Partnerschaften bei Renovabis hier in Freising. Und ich freue mich, dass sich eine große Zahl von Interessenten und Interessentinnen heute hier angemeldet hat, um ein für uns alle wichtiges und spannendes Thema zu diskutieren. Sie haben das gestern in den Nachrichten sicher verfolgt. Am gestrigen Tag vor 35 Jahren ist der Reaktor Block 4 in Tschernobyl explodiert. Es hat eine Kernschmelze gegeben. Und bis heute steht Tschernobyl als Inbegriff für eine vermeintlich sichere, beherrschbare Technik und für eine vermeintlich verlässliche Antwort auf die Energiefrage. Nicht nur in der Ukraine, sondern in vielen anderen Ländern Mittel- und Osteuropas stehen die Länder vor großen Herausforderungen, was die Umwelt- und Klimapolitik angeht. Das sind die vielen Kohlekraftwerke zu nennen mit einem gewaltigen Kohlendioxidausstoß, das Problem von Waldrodungen in großem Ausmaß in Rumänien zum Beispiel und der Ukraine auch, wilde Müllkippen in Albanien und anderswo, Altlasten aus der Zeit des Kommunismus. Aber gleichzeitig ist vieles in Bewegung gekommen. Es sind Umweltbewegungen entstanden, die auch die teilweise zu langsame Energie- und Klimapolitik nationaler Regierungen kritisieren. Die Regierungen selbst stehen durch den Druck des Klimawandels, sind sie herausgefordert, eine andere Klimapolitik zu formulieren und Reformen durchzusetzen. Die Europäische Union ihrerseits hat ein großes Projekt sich vorgenommen mit dem sogenannten Green Deal vom September 2019 und der Absicht, bis in die Mitte dieses Jahrhunderts eine klimaneutrale Wirtschaft zu entwickeln. Für die östlichen Länder der EU ist die Wegstrecke sicher noch viel länger, weil sie eine andere Ausgangsposition haben aufgrund ihrer Vorgeschichte. Und wo stehen die Kirchen in dem Ganzen? Sie haben schon lange sich sehr klar positioniert. Wenn wir einmal schauen nach Osteuropa auf die Ostkirchen, sie haben eine ausgeprägte Schöpfungsspiritualität und haben schon vor über 30 Jahren den sogenannten Schöpfungstag im September eingeführt, den wir in Deutschland und Westeuropa viel später erst übernommen haben. Und ihre Kritik an einem ausbeuterischen Lebensstil ist sehr radikal. Und wir haben mit Laudato Si von Papst Franziskus aus dem Jahr 2015 eine weltweit viel geachtete Analyse unserer sozial-ökologischen Krise, die wir heute sehen. Und wir haben weitreichende Handlungsoptionen. Sie alle kennen diese Schrift und Sie haben sich in verschiedenen Initiativen damit beschäftigt. Unsere heutige Veranstaltung steht im unmittelbaren Vorfeld der diesjährigen Renovabis Pfingstaktion mit dem Leitwort, Sie sehen es hinter mir auf dem Plakat, du erneuerst das Angesicht der Erde, Ost und West in gemeinsamer Verantwortung für die Schöpfung. Es ist eine biblische Zusage aus dem Psalm 104, du erneuerst das Angesicht der Erde, und es ist ein Anspruch an gemeinsames Handeln. Ich freue mich, dass wir heute Abend zwei Gäste zugeschaltet haben aus Belgrad und Warschau. Jovana Lončarević von der Caritas Serbien aus Belgrad und Jan Moravski von KIK, dem Warschauer Club der katholischen Intelligenz. Herzlich willkommen an Sie beide und schön, dass Sie bei uns sind und wir mit Ihnen ins Gespräch kommen. Sie beide stehen für ein konkretes kirchliches Engagement an der Basis und ich glaube auch Laudato Si hat hier eine tragende Bedeutung. Wir gehen in unserem Blick in das östliche Europa zuerst zu unserem polnischen Nachbarn und dann nach Serbien, und so möchte ich zunächst Herrn Jan Moravski ein bisschen vorstellen. Er ist Generalsekretär der schon genannten katholischen Laienorganisation Warschauer Club der katholischen Intelligenz. Was das genau bedeutet, das wird er uns selbst gleich erzählen. Er ist Jurist und sein Interesse gilt besonders internationalen Themen wie Politik, Wirtschaft, Ökologie, aber auch den politischen Entwicklungen in seinem Heimatland Polen selbst. Er ist Mitglied im sogenannten Hauptausschuss seiner Organisation und als solcher Initiator und Koordinator verschiedener ökologischer Projekte. Genug meine Einleitung und Vorrede. Ich bitte jetzt Jan Moravski um seine und seinen Beitrag und wir sind gespannt auf seinen Bericht. Bitte schön.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. Guten Abend. Hello, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm very glad that there is so huge audience. I think that would be a very nice evening. I will tell you a few things about ecological discourse in Poland. Of course, keep in mind that it will be very short time, so I won't be digging into very deep level, but some things I will explain the main factors constructing the discourse in Poland. I will try to explain the role of the church within it, and I will tell a few things about my organization, KIK, Club of Catholic Intelligentsia. So let's start. To understand the ecological discourse in Poland, we need to start with coal. So here we are, that's me, but here we are. As you can see on this graph, the main source of energy in Poland is coal. It's 70%. 70% of energy is made from coal. In this figure, in this diagram, it's both the black coal and the brown coal, and it responses and it's 70%, as you can see, and that's a huge amount. I will show you in the diagram how much is it. So you can see right now 3 lines. The black one is Poland. The red one is Germany, and the green one is the remaining 25 countries of the European Union. It means that right now, Poland produces more energy from coal than Germany and more than the other remaining 25 countries in Europe combined. So it's huge numbers. And why it is important and how it affects our discourse in Poland. So, to understand it, we need to go back a little bit in time and see what brings us here to this moment. So, after 1918, Silesia became a part of Poland, and the Silesians' mines were a main source of energy during the process of the industrialization of the country and electrification of the cities. After the Second World War, the Poland stayed in the Soviet area of influence under the communist regime. That was the time of continuing electrification of the country and developing heavy industry within the system of the Eastern Bloc. So, communist regime struggled with a very weak and inefficient economy and a complete lack of convertible currency. And the coal exported to the West was one of the main sources of the strong currency, and it enabled international trade. So in the 60s and 70s, the coal mined in Poland accounted for 5% of the global extraction. So and Poland was at the time the 5th country extracting coal in the world. And from that time, Polish coal miners earned many privileges and became a respectable and a strong labor group. Coal mining also had a very big impact on culture in a Silesia region. Well, it has before, but at that time it was even stronger and more visible. Communism ended, hopefully, in 1989, and it was the beginning of the process of transformation, the whole state and its economy. It meant closing many industrial facilities, but we stayed with an inefficient and very outdated mines. And also the whole energy system was based on a coal mining and coal. And it brings us to today. And today, however, in the 90s, there was a lot of cuts in the mine industry. Still, in the whole coal-oriented industries works more than 500,000 people. It's a huge group. The miners' labor's unions are very strong. The miners rather represents the conservative values, but the whole system, these mines, they are owned by state, and despite it was this process of transformation, they are still very inefficient, very expensive. They are subsidized by state and quite outdated. In fact, we don't exactly use our coal in the power plants. Very often we use the Russian and from the other states. The Polish coal is very expensive. And it affects a lot the social debate about the environment, because as the state owns the coal mines, it is in its best interest to keep the coal still valid and important. Right now, in fact, of the complete inefficiency of the mines, government negotiate the process of closing all mines to 2049 with the miners. Moving on. Let's see the most important environmental issues in Poland. That's how the people perceives it. That was according to the study that Ministry of the Environment had some time ago. And as you can see, the most important problems within the environment showed by people is the air pollution, wastes, and water pollution. It doesn't, when the other things are much less important. As you can see, climate change, only 4% of the respondents showed as a very important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that the people in Poland don't think that climate change isn't important. As you can see on this graph from the same study, the 94% of the respondents think that the climate change is very important. However, which is visible here, there are some other issues that seems to be more important in the hierarchy of the importance. Why is that? Because of the coal. Poland has one of the worst air in the whole European Union. As you can see on this graph, among the 50 most polluted cities in the European Union, 36 are actually located in Poland. I'm a witness here. I can guarantee that the condition of the air in many cities is terrible, and it's a huge problem, and it makes a lot of problems. I mean, in the terms of health. For example, each year 40,000 people in Poland dies because of the diseases made by the air pollution. Okay, so that's how this importance of the topics appears in Poland. And let's describe for a moment how the whole discourse looks like. Right now, according to the common knowledge, the environmental issues seems to be taken and more often by the left groups, progressive groups, than the conservative. It's not fully true because there are a lot of initiatives started by the rather conservative, but in general, this topic is more often concerned and called by the progressive groups. And as Poland is quite a conservative country, it is a problem, because very often environment is put in a one big sack with the all left bad things. That's how it's perceived. Also, this whole mining thing don't help, with this problem. And the ecology becomes more and more important right now in Poland in all groups, and air pollution is a big factor here, because from the, let's say, last 7 years, when the air pollution start to be visible thanks to the apps in the phones, people start to see how bad air is. Well, they breathe it, but it was possible to see that each day they breathe a very dangerous mixture of different toxins. And it starts quite new level of environmental awareness among Poles. What's the role of the Catholic Church here? So actually not so big. And among the institutional church, the environmental issues are quite rare. Well, I try to follow the official bishop's letters, which are read in churches, and from 1989, maybe 5 or 6 were focused on the environmental issues, and most of them are from the last, let's say, 10 years. So that's not much. And on top of that, there are also no these environmental issues. They are not taking account during the big religious event. There are no administrative efforts to cut church carbon footprint, almost no efforts at all. There are almost no ecology-oriented pastoral propositions. So from the institutional part of the church, the ecology seems not to be a very big problem. However, within the lay part of the church, it is quite different. So, and Laudato Si make a lot of good work here. So it helped to get church familiar with the problem of the environment, and there are more and more lay initiatives. So from the one hand, it is bad that the hierarchy is not using ecological issues and not address it. But on the second point of view, it is very good, but it is the space when the lay people can organize themselves and they can be more active in church. So moving on to KIK, I promise that I tell you something about my organization, and KIK stands from Klub Inteligencji Katolickiej, Club of Catholic Intelligentsia. It was founded in 1956, so it's one of the oldest NGO in Poland. In the groups around 1,700 members, and what we do actually is we try to be useful for the church and for the society. And what we do on the field of the ecology is a few things. So we focus on education much. We organize some kind of a groups. You can think about it as a type of scouting activities. So, and we organize this group system with camps and spending time with nature for around 800 children, so quite a lot. We organize lectures for the adults. So education is a big part of it. The religious practices, we try to put the prayer for the creation to the liturgy. We organize this action of the green land before the last Easter. We are trying to help others because we have this broad knowledge about the creation after the Pope Franciscus. So we have these groups which works with the poor people, with homeless, and we also organize international humanitarian aid projects in Syria, Iraq, in Ukraine. So we will also try to protect the full creation, which means also people. We also try to network the organization who are committed to the environmental issues in Poland. So we cooperate with the global Catholic climate movement, with the ecological movement of St. Francis, and other organizations as well. And we do have some projects. For example, right now we are applying for a grant with the GCCM, Global Catholic Climate Movement, to encourage parishes to do eco-initiatives for their own. The idea is to bring these environmental issues to the local level among the parishes. Okay, and the last thing, very concrete, we organizing the workshop of the city beekeeping. We are quite excited because of that, and it's so we basically organize workshops and provide knowledge necessary to start your own bee business. Okay. Thank you very much. I think that later will be possibility to answer some questions. And concluding in one sentence, there's really a lot to do in the field of environmental protection in Poland. And it's actually right now, it's a terra incognita, maybe not fully, but there's still a lot of space to do very important things. Thank you very much.
Vielen herzlichen Dank, Jan, für deinen Beitrag. Es ist nicht leicht, in gut 10 Minuten ein so breites Programm vorzustellen, was KIK in Polen tut, von Umweltbildung bis zu Bienenzucht. Das ist hochspannend. Ich würde jetzt gleich einen Schritt weitergehen zu Jovana Lončarević in eine ganz andere Situation nach Serbien. Serbien ist bekanntlich ein EU-Beitrittskandidat. Wir gehen in eine ganz andere politische, kulturelle Situation. Dazu braucht es keine lange Vorrede. Jovana wird selbst die Situation in Serbien beschreiben und zuvor möchte ich sie kurz auch vorstellen. Jovana Lončarević arbeitet, wie gesagt, als Referentin bei der Caritas Serbien in Belgrad. Sie ist dort diplomierte Managerin für Zivilschutz und hat strategisches Management studiert. Sie koordiniert umfassende Projekte, ist Ausbilderin im Bereich der Katastrophenvorsorge, des Umweltschutzes und der Risikoprävention, also ein breites Portfolio, in dem sie tätig ist. Und vor allem für uns interessant und ich glaube auch anregend, sie gestaltet Workshops für verschiedene Alters- und Zielgruppen zur Thematik Umweltschutz, Nachhaltigkeit. Jovana, it's on you.
Thank you, Thomas. Good afternoon to all of you. I will try to be brief and short so that you have enough time to ask Jan and me whatever you think that is important for you to know. In Serbia, it's a very similar situation like in Poland, according to law. We have some laws about environment and sustainable development, but at this moment for climate changing, no, we don't have any law, any other direction what to do and how to behave. Before 2014 in Serbia, I think that nobody thinks about environment protection, about nature disaster, about pollution. That was some abstract topic. But after the catastrophic floods that occurred Balkan in 2014, government of Serbia and a lot of different scientific institutions start to think about environment and climate changes and sustainable development and all that nature resource. Main resource in Serbia is water. That's our bless, but because of such amount of water which are polluted, we are very vulnerable to the nature disaster. And because of that, several ministry and scientific institution research why we have floods every year. Every year, one part of Serbia is under the floods, and they concluded that one of the reasons is polluted water, And the second reason is very low awareness of the people about ecology, about climate, about disasters, and that's the problem. That's the problem for Serbia and for us. Besides water, we have a lot of wood, like a nature resource, but we like to burn that wood. I don't know why. Often we start fire, and with help of wind, we burn all woods in the central part of Serbia, which proves that people here doesn't have awareness about nature and protection of environment. Government doing their best to improve that situation. They try. A lot of non-governmental organizations such as Caritas Serbia try to help them. We implemented projects together, but for improving situation about ecology, about polluted environment, we need time. Beside that, we need financial resource. In Serbia, economic situation is not so good, so we must rely on different funds, such as EU funds, IPA EU funds, UN, or other funds who will allow us to implement different projects in ecology and climate. Like I said, 2014 was a waking up year for all of us in Serbia, not just Serbia, in Balkan. And Caritas Serbia, as a humanitarian organization, provided humanitarian aid to all people in need. And during that period, we conducted how awareness is low among people. Thanks to the Caritas Austria, we started a project of disaster risk reduction with a primary activity to inform people how to behave in nature, how their behavior affected environment, and also how that behavior can be a trigger for new disasters and new damages and new ecology disasters and so on. So that was a primary activity. That was education. I forgot to share my screen. Sorry. Floods in Serbia. This is the consequences of polluted water in Serbia. After every floods, we have this problem to clean all of that and to try to return nature into the balance, to her balance. Like I said, Caritas Serbia started with program disaster risk reduction, and primary activity was to educate, to share information, to inform people about ecology, about their behavior in the nature, and how to change that. Of course, we start with children, because if we educate children about ecology, about climate, we will raise new generation that they are aware of environment protection, of climate, and maybe we will change something, something in the world. Also, beside that, our opinion was that if we talk to the children will talk with the parents, and parents also will change their behavior in their life and raise awareness about climate changes and environment. After the children, we added more social group to our project, concrete to education, especially with elderly, people with disability, minority. Also, we help government to educate civil protection officers who are in Serbia charged for ecology, to monitoring ecology in their municipality, community, or whatever. to achieve goals that we want to do. Besides this theoretical part of our program, we try to learn and to show to the people how to behave practical. For example, if you have trees, and you cut that trees for heating, why don't you use that one tree to plant another tree and rebuild that woods? Not just to cut all that trees and that's that, to forget that you need to plant new trees. Also, like you can see on this picture, we try to involve as much as we can children, but besides children, also there was young people and the Caritas volunteers that help us in all our activities. Beside planting tree to recover all woods in Serbia, because we don't have enough woods in Serbia to clean our air. We organize activities to clean water from waste, because almost 19% of rivers in Serbia are polluted. So we organize small grassroots concrete activities with citizens in the communities to clean river in that communities. Besides that, several institutions from the republic level help us to clean 5 wild dumps and recover them. And now that let's say dumps are the parks where you can sit and enjoy in nature. So we are very, very, very proud of that. We clear from waste. We clear from waste around seven smaller rivers. So we try we try to do some.
Ivana, entschuldige, wenn ich unterbreche, was ich nicht gerne tue. Damit wir noch ein bisschen Zeit für das Gespräch und für Fragen haben, vielleicht könntest du in Kürze deinen Beitrag beenden. Wir werden das noch in Fragen vertiefen, sonst läuft uns ein bisschen die Zeit davon. Dankeschön.
Okay, sorry, Thomas. I tried to be brief. Caritas Serbia do a lot of activities in Serbia. Education, small grassroots activities. We develop unique approach to this problem. We always ask people in communities, in municipalities, to share all information and all knowledge that they have with us. We always adapt all our trainings and workshops to them, to their possibility, to information that they want to know. And besides that, when we decide to work some small grassroots activities, we decide with people from that communities what we will do. Cleaning, planting, recycling, whatever it is issue for that community. Until now, we organize more than 1,000 trainings and workshops and some education course about environment, about disaster risk reduction, about climate changes, which are the main topic on every training, on every education process. Besides that, we plant more than 10,000 trees all over the Serbia. Of course, we didn't do that alone. We always involve other organizations to help us to work together, because if we work together, we will manage to do something. If everybody works separate, we can't do anything at all.
Johanna, darf ich dir doch jetzt gleich eine Frage stellen, mit der du noch ein bisschen einen Punkt beschreiben kannst.
Yes.
Wir haben uns heute Vormittag unterhalten. Erstmal vielen Dank für deinen Beitrag. Es ist unglaublich, was ihr mit wahrscheinlich sehr wenigen hauptamtlichen Ressourcen leistet, wie viele Menschen ihr erreicht. Und wir haben uns heute Vormittag unterhalten, welche Bedeutung hat Umweltschutz, Nachhaltigkeit, ja, so ein moderner Begriff wie Klimagerechtigkeit in der serbischen Gesellschaft. Und du hast gesagt, keine. Jetzt finde ich außerordentlich interessant, die Caritas Serbien, du hast es geschrieben, hat 2000 Kurse für Kinder gemacht im Grundschulalter, 2000 Kurse. Das heißt, viel mehr Kinder und Jugendliche erreicht und 1000 Workshops für Erwachsene. Mit welchen Ressourcen, mit welchen Leuten, mit welchen Freiwilligen schafft ihr das, so viele Menschen zu erreichen?
First, at the beginning, we rely on the parish people and Caritas volunteers. But after that, we managed to motivate a lot of people from communities to be actively involved in all activities. So we find resource in the communities where we're working. Okay, we have help from Caritas volunteers, but the main source is community, with people, with equipment, with everything. We try to find everything in that community or that municipality.
Gut, und es gibt offensichtlich keine Berührungsängste, sondern es gibt eine enge Zusammenarbeit zwischen den Kirchengemeinden und ja, den zivilgesellschaftlichen Gemeinden, den Stadtverwaltungen, oder wie kann man sich das konkret vorstellen? Wie organisiert ihr diese Kurse?
In the smaller community, there is connection between church and people and other organization in that communities. It's not a problem. Cities are the problem because it's bigger and people living different life, and there is a lot of people in the cities, so it's a different situation. But in the smaller communities, a smaller municipality, church is the part of our action. Orthodox Church or Catholic Church, never mind. They work with us.
Okay, noch für den Moment eine kleine letzte Frage an dich. Ihr führt wahrscheinlich eine gewisse Übersicht. Wie viele Menschen habt ihr in ganz Serbien bisher erreicht mit euren Kursen, mit euren Schulungen?
Approximately around between 10 and 12,000.
Okay.
It's a large number.
Okay, ja, in der Tat. Vielen Dank. Jetzt würde ich gerne mal Jan fragen und eine Frage aufgreifen, die ich im Chat gefunden habe. Die finde ich sehr spannend und es ist sicher eine spezifische Frage für Polen. Und zwar, wie schafft es die katholische Kirche einerseits, sich um die Belange der Minenarbeiter zu kümmern und auf der anderen Seite sich für Klimaschutz zu engagieren? Das ist eine Spannung, die man, glaube ich, nicht leicht bewältigen kann. Wie sieht das aus? Frage
Yes.
ist angekommen, ja? Okay.
That's an excellent question, and it's quite complicated actually. So it is a tension between this environmental narrative and the word of miners. Who they like, what they do and how it works very often. Well, it's a very difficult and dangerous job for many of them, but it's still quite quite well paid, and they have a lot of additional payments and a special treatment. So traditionally, church is avoiding this topic of the ecological transformation in Poland, but and it's not very often taken. Right now, the bishop of the Katowice, the biggest city in the Upper Silesia, Bishop Skvorc, is try to build some kind of a dialogue around this topic, and actually there is a way, very easy way for church to struggle both for miners and for the environment, because, as I mentioned, the mining in Poland is inefficient, and it's impossible to continue in a long term. It means that sooner or later, the coal mines in Poland must be closed. There's no other options. This coal it's cheaper to, let's say, put it that way, it's cheaper to import the coal from Australia than use our coals. So, but the government, and I'm not talking about this government, the current one, but also every before, didn't have a plan for the transformation, didn't want to start this topic because it's very difficult and it hits a lot of groups of interest. So there is no plan for the whole region to transform into a more responsible economy and a more responsible way of earning money. It means that when the coal mines will be closed, a lot of people will be in a big trouble. They are, let's say that they are young people on miner studies, and they are studying how to be a miner. So after the mines will be closed, they will have no perspectives to work in the job. So there's a huge opportunity for church to act here, but it will take to understand miners that it will be in their good interest to start thinking about the future now, and it's job to be done, and I'm afraid it's not taken seriously.
Ja, vielen Dank. Du sagst, es ist ein intensiver...
Ich würde mich da gerne, wenn ich darf, mit zwei noch Fragen, einer ergänzenden und zwei weiteren Fragen aus dem Chat einschalten. Eine Frage geht auch an Jan Murawski. Die Frage lautet im Prinzip, wem gehören denn eigentlich die Kohlekraftwerke? Sie haben gesagt, die wurden privatisiert nach 89. Gehören die jetzt dem Staat? Sind sie immer noch privatisiert? Gibt es da eventuell an manchen Stellen Interessenkonflikte? So interpretiere ich diese Frage. Also wem gehören die und wer wäre für die Transformation dieser Kohlekraftwerke denn jetzt konkret verantwortlich?
Okay, so I'll respond briefly. Coal mines in Poland mostly belong to the states. There are only two black coal mines which are privatized. They just stayed in state hands. Part of the answer is that they are not getting money. They are in a huge debt, so it's quite difficult to find any private buyer who would like to invest in it. And if it would take a huge restructurization process, and the most mines are not ready for it. So the coals belongs to the state, and state subsided on a huge scale. And the power plants, it depends. Some of them belongs to the state, some of them are private, and the private power plants don't use Polish coal because it's too expensive. It's also part of the problem.
Vielen Dank, Jan. Ich möchte eine Frage aus dem Chat aufgreifen, die schon eine Weile her ist, aber die mich in der Art der Formulierung schmunzeln lässt. Und zwar ist es eine Frage, die an euch beide geht, Giovanna und Jan. Vielleicht, Jan, machen wir zuerst mit dir weiter. Die Frage ist, ob denn Laudato Si tatsächlich ein offizielles Dokument der katholischen Kirche ist. Das finde ich eine sehr interessante Fragestellung. Vielleicht meint jemand, die Aussage und die Analyse ist so modern, das kann kein offizielles Dokument der katholischen Kirche sein. Meine Frage an beide, Jan zunächst, wie kann man die Aufnahme von Laudato Si in der, ich sage mal, in der Amtskirche unter den Bischöfen in Polen beschreiben? Das wird wahrscheinlich nicht einheitlich sein. Und welche Impulse konnte dieses Dokument in der kirchlichen Basis geben? Was hat es dort bewegt und welche Impulse hat es dort bewirkt?
Well, I have an impression that it affected more non-church environment than the hierarchy in Poland, because I know some left organizations which were fascinated by this document. For bishops, it's problematic, and when the Laudato Si appeared, it was issued. It was very difficult for them to comment it anyway. At the beginning, what was outlined and stressed was there's a very little part of the Laudato Si where is the mention, where the problem of abortion is mentioned. So it's in the whole encyclical, it's 1 or 2 sentences, but it was the main main point taken. But it helped a lot to the ecological issues among the lay people, and it inspired a lot of people. And it's still inspiring. Well, myself, I come back to it quite often, and among these grassroots organizations which are appearing right now among Poland, around Poland, there are people who are inspired by Laudato Si. So it's a very important document. It's not very well known. Well, this process of getting official Vatican document now in Poland, it's not very well developed. Many people just don't know, don't read. But this one, I think it was very well written, and it has an impact. But it's this impact is to the down, not to the top of the church, if I may say it this way.
Okay. Vielen Dank. Ivana, wie sieht das mit Laudato Si in Serbien aus?
For us, it's
Orthodox in Serbien.
I think that nobody from Orthodox Church know about Laudato Si. Maybe somebody, but I don't think so. Bishops here knows about Laudato Si, of course, and for us that is guidelines because of our program. We are use Laudato Si to develop a new program and new activities. It's not on the top of priorities, but they know about Laudato Si because we repeat all the time when we work with parish. In parish with parish people, we repeat some sequences from Laudato Si. So for us, it's guidelines, let's say in the middle of priority. For Orthodox Church, it's not priority.
Sind Aussagen von Laudato Si, greift ihr die auf in euren Kursen direkt? Ist das ein Inhalt, also der große Zusammenhang von sozialen und ökologischen Fragen weltweit? Ist das für euch ein Impuls, mit dem ihr arbeiten könnt, der euch weiterbringt?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Konkret? Inwiefern?
At this moment, no.
Okay.
I can't give you a concrete, but I read Laudato Si, of course, and for every action, I choose one sentence from Laudato Si to be a motto of that action. Okay. So, let's say.
Gut, danke. Claudia Gabich wollte noch eine Frage einbringen.
Ja, ich habe noch eine Frage an Joanna. Ich möchte auch noch einen Hinweis zur polnischen Situation geben. Es gibt einen wirklich, finde ich, sehr interessanten Hirtenbrief aus dem Jahre 1989 der polnischen Bischöfe, die sich damals sehr, sehr dezidiert zur damals schon schwierigen Umweltsituation in Polen geäußert haben und auch die Mächtigen, also die Politiker, deutlich aufgefordert haben, umweltfreundlich zu handeln und entsprechende Maßnahmen zu ergreifen. Das finde ich nochmal sehr interessant zu lesen im Vergleich auch zum heutigen Umgang, deutlich schwächeren Umgang und auch zur deutlich schwächeren Positionierung im Hinblick auf Laudato Si. Also ein durchaus lesenswertes Instrument, ein durchaus lesenswerter Brief, den wir Ihnen auch gerne einfach nochmal zur Verfügung stellen können. Den Link könnten wir auch nochmal schicken. Jetzt noch eine Frage an Joanna. Ich lese sie einfach aus dem Chat vor. Can Caritas Serbia work together with the government to determine the nationally determined contributions NDC toward the Paris Agreement?
We can try, but I don't know will we have any succeed. We can try. We talk about with the government about a lot of issues, but we will see. Maybe one day. At this moment, no.
Okay, die Frage ist leider so beantwortet, wie sie beantwortet ist. Ja, es bleiben uns noch ein paar wenige Minuten. Vielleicht eine Frage an euch beide, Joanna und Jan, sozusagen zum Ausblick und für die nächste Zeit. Bei aller Unterschiedlichkeit eurer Situation und eurer Ansätze oder Zielgruppen, was wäre für eure Organisationen, für KIK und für die Caritas Serbien, ja, was ist die nächste wichtige Etappe? Was möchtet ihr erreichen? Wo ist ein Punkt, wo ihr über eine Schwelle gehen möchtet? Ein nächstes Ziel. Wenn man das so in 2 Sätzen formulieren kann. Jan. Bitte.
Okay, yes. As I mentioned, there's a lot to do in Poland. The awareness of the ecological issues is increasing, but still the understanding of this process is quite poor. So, and I think that the role of the church may be very big in the process of changing that situation, but and I'm hoping that it will be that way. And what I'm thinking about right now is to multiply efforts in that field. And I think that the interesting church in the problems of the ecology may have 2 big impacts. So first of all, as I mentioned, it's a more lay topic than a priest or a bishop topics. So it's one of the very few areas in the church which is completely left to do something with. And it's an opportunity to lay people to do something and to mark their presence in the church. Right now, we have a problem with the clericalization in the meaning that the priests are in power. They organize the whole life in church, and the lay people are not very subjective. There's the way for them to organize something, to do and change something. So there's one thing. The second thing is that the church has the role to encourage people to start being interested in these very crucial and important topics. And because it still has a very big reputation among people. So for these 2 reasons, my plan and the KIK plan is to multiply our efforts here. We are thinking about some environmental coalition among the Catholic organizations. We are thinking about the initiatives, local initiatives, encouraging local communities to do something, to be interesting, and to see that it's not only air pollution, and it's also these very big global problems are affecting their very local lives. So that would be this. and we have some concrete ideas how to do it.
Okay. Die Bemühungen verstärken und multiplizieren, das ist wichtig. Dafür wünschen wir alles Gute, aber wir würden es auch noch gern von Joanna wissen. Was sind die nächsten, ja, was ist das nächste kleinere oder größere Ziel für euch?
To clean all the rivers in Serbia. To plant, let's say, 50,000 of trees in Serbia, and to educate, to share information among, I don't know, much more people than we do it for now. But clean the river and plant the trees. That's the main goal.
Das dürfte für das Erste genug sein. Und ja, sind konkrete Ziele und auch langfristige gleichzeitig, dafür viel Erfolg und gutes Gelingen. Ja, damit sind wir zeitlich einigermaßen mit einer Punktlandung am Ende dieser runden Stunde angekommen von Listen to the East. Und ich würde sagen, es war außerordentlich interessant und ein Teilnehmer hat auch geschrieben, bewegend zu hören, was in Polen und in Serbien konkret getan wird im Namen der Kirche und kirchlicher Initiativen für Umwelt- und Klimagerechtigkeit, für Nachhaltigkeit. Zunächst einmal euch beiden, Joanna und Jan, ganz herzlichen Dank dafür, dass ihr dabei wart aus Belgrad und Warschau. Und wir hoffen, wenn es für uns alle wieder besser geht, dass wir uns dann im echten Leben auch sehen und lade euch ein zu Gesprächen nach Deutschland oder wir kommen nach Belgrad oder Warschau. Nichts liegt näher. Also vielen Dank an euch beide. Ich glaube im Namen des ganzen Auditoriums. An der Stelle möchte ich auch danken natürlich der Frau im Hintergrund, ohne die die Verständigung nicht möglich wäre, Silvia Heller. Einmal mehr eine bewährte Übersetzerin, schon viele Jahre mit Renovables eng verbunden, über viele Veranstaltungen. Vielen Dank, Silvia Heller, für die Übersetzung, die nicht immer ganz mühelos ist, glaube ich.
Thank you very much. That was true pleasure and honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Also true pleasure and very interesting.
Und last not least, vielen Dank auch für die Kooperation an die Katholische Akademie Berlin, namentlich an Marie-Louise Schneider. Es war das 4., aber mit Sicherheit nicht das letzte Mal und ich weise schon hin auf die nächste Veranstaltung von Listen to the East. Thema und Termin folgt im Internet. Schauen Sie bei Renovables oder bei der Katholischen Akademie. Und bei der Gelegenheit darf ich auch einladen, ein bisschen wahrzunehmen, andere Veranstaltungen, Online-Veranstaltungen, die wir noch, zu denen wir einladen. Die finden Sie auf unserer Terminseite bei Renovables. Und bleibt mir, mich noch einmal zu bedanken für Ihr aller Interesse, für Ihre Unterstützung. Und wir wünschen gutes Gelingen, guten Mut und viel Energie für alle Engagements in Sachen Du erneuerst das Angesicht der Erde. Das Anliegen, mit dem wir heute Abend, glaube ich, und darüber hinaus verbunden sind. Vielen Dank fürs Dabeisein, fürs Interesse und einen schönen Abend an Sie und an euch alle.